On today's show, I take you back inside the Sacramento Kings practice facility for day 2 of Kings training camp, where things are getting chippy.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all season long. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News. I'm back here in the ABC 10 studios in my office after coming back from the Kings practice facility. 3 straight days in that facility. One of them was picture day. Media day. The last 2 days have been training camp. And if you missed any of the last couple of episodes where you'll hear from a ton of different Sacramento Kings members, highly encourage you to go and check those out. But we're back in the practice facility today, and I'm going to share with you everything that I saw, everything that I witnessed, everything that we heard while there. The chippiness, of course, is what's going to draw your attention in the title and in that introduction. And I will say, we did not witness ourselves any chippiness between anybody, and no players going at each other, certainly no pushing, shoving, cursing each other out, none of that. We did not witness any of that. So I'm sharing with you the chippiness from this day because that's what Mike Brown, Sacramento Kings head coach Mike Brown, shared with us. So again, I'll preface it by saying I did not physically see, none of the media did not see any chippiness in training camp today. But Mike Brown, as you will hear in this podcast today, talks about it getting chippy and also talks about why that chippiness is a good thing, especially with Sacramento's emphasis on physicality in this training camp. But I'll share with you what we did see, what we did witness, and the notes that I took away from day 2 of Sacramento Kings training camp. Unlike yesterday, where we walked in at the very end of training camp and we got to witness the fast break, full court layup drills that the Kings were doing as a team before their free throw competition. Today, we walked in at the very, very, very end of practice. So they had just literally, as we were walking through the tunnel to go into the practice facility, we heard them end their kind of team talk huddle at center court, right? After that, they break off and they do their individual work. So right when we walked in was when they were starting their individual work. So we unfortunately did not get to see anything today of what this team worked on. I believe that's very intentional by the Sacramento Kings. They decide, Mike Brown decides, gives the go-ahead when we can come in and witness practice. So that suggests to me that a lot of today was probably hardcore walking through how the Sacramento Kings want to play on both sides of the ball and the tenets of their offense and the tenets of their defense, the way they want to be known and the way they want to play is probably what they hit very, very hard today. Hence the reason why we did not get to see a single second of it. But what we did get to see was some of the individual work that these guys were putting in. And one of the guys that stayed out there long after practice to get in individual work was De'Aaron Fox. Good to see the Kings star continuing to put in the work like we know he always does. Another major takeaway from training camp, and really we can lump in the last 2 days and media day into this takeaway. Players and coaches are all encouraging Keegan Murray to talk more. Keegan's personality is very quiet. In fact, it's shared with us that the Kings like to mess with Keegan to try and get him to smile and talk more and be louder and have a little more fun off the court. On the court, he needs to talk more for sure, but his communication on the court is better. He's more talkative on the court when he's actually playing and communicating with his teammates than he is off of the floor. That's just Keegan's personality. That's just who Keegan is. But they're always encouraging him to talk more. And you're going to hear in a second, we got the opportunity to speak to Keegan today. And something that I've talked about a number of times over the last couple of seasons that Keegan's been here in Sacramento are the games and the times where Keegan is playing really well and he's shooting the ball well and he has the hot hand and the Kings seemingly go away from him. And how much is that on the Kings for not continuing to feed the hot hand? And also how much is that on Keegan for not stepping up and going, yo, get me the basketball? So I got the opportunity to ask Keegan about how comfortable he is demanding the ball from someone like DeMar DeRozan or De'Aaron Fox when he's feeling it. You're going to hear what Keegan had to say about that. Plus, Keegan talks about, and Mike Brown is going to talk about Keegan Murray's defense and his defensive growth and being responsible for guarding the best wings and forwards on a nightly basis. That is going to be Keegan's primary job this year. So again, you're going to hear all of that coming up here on the podcast very soon. Terry Taylor is one of the training camp invites on this team. He is someone that could potentially provide some depth for the Kings at the wing. I look at Terry Taylor, I look at Jalen McDaniels, and I look at them and go, okay, one of them will likely at least make the roster. I don't expect either of them to really play that much, but the Kings do need more wing depth and do need more bodies of that size. Now, Terry Taylor is a bit smaller. He's on 6'5", 6'6", so he's not exactly the 6'7", 6'8" variety, which the Kings need more of. But I got to see Terry Taylor putting in individual work in the basket right in front of us, and he was working a lot on his catch-and-shoot threes and shooting off the dribble from three-point range, which with the spacing and the 4-out or 5-out offenses that the Sacramento Kings like to run, it's important for everybody, especially wings, to, on the offensive end, be able to score the basketball. And that's been something that the Kings have been looking for the past couple of years, right? Think about Kessler Edwards. Kessler Edwards was a really, really, really athletic, young, solid defender. But he couldn't get on the floor because offensively he didn't do anything, and he wasn't good enough and consistent enough as a shooter to space the floor and knock down shots and make defenses pay for leaving him. So it's cool to see, and it's good to see Terry Taylor and Jalen McDaniels and these other wings who are trying to make this roster recognize one of the things I need to, defensively, I know what I'm supposed to do, but offensively, I need to be able to knock down these shots and space the floor and hold defenses accountable, or I'm not going to get any playing time. So I got to see Terry Taylor working on his shot. It looked good. Another note, every once in a while, the Kings will have different guests in for training camp to watch training camp and speak with the coaches. The guest today was Cal Bears men's basketball head coach Mark Madsen was in the building. So any Cal Bear fans out there, yeah, you got your coach learning from Mike Brown and his coaching staff. Speaking of Mike Brown, like I talked about, Mike's talking about physicality being a major emphasis. That's where he talked about the chippiness. You're going to hear from that in a second. And then more and more signs are pointing just to Keon Ellis being the starting two guard. He's continuing to play with the starters. That was expected, though, especially with Kevin Huerter being out. Kevin Huerter still is, like I said yesterday, he's out there working. He just can't participate in any kind of live drills yet. He's out there doing the team drills that he can do, getting shots up and things like that. And he shared with us he's sick of playing 5-on-0 or 1-on-0. He wants to play. He wants to be defended by somebody. He wants to defend somebody. He wants to play against somebody. And he's still not medically cleared to do that. But with him being out, Malik's role pretty much being solidified as a sixth man, it sounds like. Keon Ellis, and the way Keon played last season too, Keon is naturally kind of the guy in that spot. And the more we talk to Mike about it, Mike will not commit to anything. He has not committed to Keon as the starter. He has not committed to Kevin Huerter or Malik Monk coming off the bench. But he keeps saying things like today, I'm not going to play this clip for you because I don't have time, but he pointed out how compared to Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter, Keon doesn't command as many shots. And it's not that he's a bad shooter. It's just his primary focus, when Keon Ellis is on the floor, his primary focus is on the defensive end. He's good enough to space the floor. He's around 40% three-point shooter on a pretty decent volume. He's good enough to space the floor that he's not a negative on the offensive end by any means. But what might make the most sense about playing Keon Ellis with the starters in addition to the defense is that he won't necessarily take the ball out of the hands of DeMar DeRozan or De'Aaron Fox or Keegan Murray or Domantas Sabonis. All four of the other starters are all guys that can go out and get a bucket pretty much whenever they want for the Sacramento Kings. And the Kings are going to be leaning on all four of them heavily for scoring. So instead of having another guy like a Monk or Huerter, who are also primary scorers out there, having someone whose primary job is on defense and on the offensive end doesn't touch the ball a lot, but spaces the floor, and when he does touch the ball, he can knock down threes at a high clip. That makes a lot of sense. Finally, this is kind of the fun comedic relief of the day. Once again, Malik Monk is talking. He's just talking. That's all he does. And you're going to hear from Malik Monk here in just a second. Apparently, Malik Monk is stealing Kings practice plans. And he's doing so not to get a head start on what the Kings are working on, not so he can have a little extra information. He's doing it to look at the times on the practice plans, so he keeps the coaching staff on time so that practices don't run long, so he doesn't have to stay there for a long time. If you missed my podcast yesterday, you heard me talk about like the personality that Malik is and how Malik has interacted with us media members. And he's just fun. He's really, really fun. You're going to hear from Malik in just a little bit, talking about how he's found his voice in Sacramento, how he uses his voice in Sacramento, and how Sacramento, the Kings, the coaching staff, the front office, the players, they all encourage him to be himself here. And that was a major reason why he decided to stay. So you're going to hear from Keegan, Mike Brown, Malik Monk, and Keon Ellis, all coming up here in just a little bit. That is after I tell you more about one of the great sponsors of the Locked On Kings podcast. I've been telling you a lot about them over the last couple of weeks. I, of course, am talking about FanDuel. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. It's super easy. Let's say you're watching the 49ers game this weekend, or the Raiders game. Now we know Davante Adams is out, so maybe you feel like, okay, the Raiders aren't going to score as much, or this is going to be different because Davante Adams isn't playing for the Raiders and all the drama that they have going on over there. Well, while you're watching the game, you can watch these trends and looking the stats and look at the numbers and decide, you know what, that's the bet I'm going to place. That's the route I'm going to go, and it's all right there for you. It's almost like you're in Las Vegas sitting in one of the sportsbook rooms. You're watching the game on front of you in the TV, and you have all the information in front of you to place a bet and to hopefully make money. And if you want to get started on FanDuel, you can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's right, put $5 on anything. Whatever the bet is, put $5 on it. Even if you lose, does not matter. You'll get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed on FanDuel.com. All right, let's hear from some of the players and coaches, shall we? We'll start with Keegan Murray. Defense is a major responsibility of Keegan's this season. Offensively, he's not off the hook. The Kings will still need scoring and shooting from Keegan Murray for sure. The Kings need Keegan Murray to be close to an elite, if not an elite 3-and-D wing. But defensively this season, the new big piece of steak on Keegan's plate, the new responsibility is he is going to be the main guy now that Harrison Barnes is gone to defensively guard wings and forwards. The best wings and forwards in this league are who Keegan is going to have to go up against. I'm talking about the LeBron Jameses, the Kevin Durant's, right? That is going to be Keegan's responsibility, and he talks about that defensive responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, defensively it's going to be the same, just be on the best player on the other team, and then offensively just be able to be more consistent, hitting open shots, and if I'm in a rhythm, just keep that rhythm and things like that. So just continue my aggression on both ends of the floor.
I think in media day you mentioned guarding bigger players this year. What do you think goes into some of the things you got to do better to be better at that?
Yeah, once again, it's a work in progress thing. So I mean, my rookie year, I was rough guarding the perimeter, and then once I got experience with that, I became a lot better. So I feel like it's an experience thing, and I feel like once I get experience in that, I'm gonna be a really good defender against bigger guys, against smaller guys. So I'm excited for the opportunity.
Keegan Murray is already a good defender, but now he's talking about what he needs to do to be a really good defender. He's going to be put to the test a lot this season. A lot is going to fall on his shoulders, and he's going to need his teammates to have his back and help him out too. But there are going to be times where Keegan is placed on an island by some of these bigger wings and forwards, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he handles that challenge. I'm also looking forward to seeing, like we talked about earlier, Keegan trying to find his voice more, and when he's having those games, not just like the 40-point night that he had last season, but when he's having those games where he starts the game shooting 5 of 5 from the field, or he has 12 points in the first quarter, he has 20 points in 20 minutes of action, and he's clearly the guy that's on it. Even with other mouths to feed on this offense, even with guys that are ball dominant like Fox and DeRozan, will Keegan step up, open his mouth, and say, I am the guy tonight, give me the basketball?
I don't know. I mean, I just do me, and I guess they think I don't talk as much and have an issue with it, but I don't know. I just be myself.
When you have a game like you had last season, those 40-point games, which is everything you're touching is going in, are they encouraging you to, like, demand command ask for the basketball, or are they telling you where to go and they're just going to give it to you?
I mean, in that game in particular, I feel like I just hunted the ball. I feel like I don't know, the ball was just finding me, and I was hitting shots. But I mean, that's just a thing that guys recognize that I'm hot, and then I think we're a really good team recognizing who the hot player is. So that's when we go to them more often.
Do you feel comfortable with the amount of talent on this team, especially with the addition of DeMar, though, when you're in that zone that you can tell them, hey, feed me a little bit, give me the ball?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be times where we have 6-7 guys that can get hot in a game. So there's going to be at some point in the season where that's going to be the case for me. So that's obviously a point of emphasis in my third year where I have to mature up a little bit.
I like that. I love what Keegan said there at the end. Like that's an area where he has to mature. And look, I can't even imagine, right? Keegan's had to put a lot on his plate in the first 2 years. And he's had a situation where he comes in as a rookie, starts not immediately, but pretty close to immediately, right? And he's contributing to a team that made the playoffs the first year and is a winning team the second year, right? And he's playing with names like De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis and now DeMar DeRozan. Imagine being in your first couple of years in the league where you're already a kind of naturally quiet, shy guy like Keegan Murray is. And now you're talking about, God, can I open my mouth and turn to these teammates who respect me and I respect them, but am I right to say, yo, give me the ball, pass me the ball, right? I would be nervous. Hell, like think about going to your boss or going to your superior at work and saying, I am better on this project. Give this to me. Like that's what we're talking about here, because everybody wants to hunt their shots. Everybody thinks that they can contribute to the best chance to winning. And I'm not saying these guys are selfish by any means. And I'm not saying that De'Aaron Fox is not focusing on getting Keegan the ball or Malik Monk or anything like that. No, these guys share the basketball willingly, but it also takes the hot hand going, give it to me. This is my time. Draw this up for me. Give me my shot. I know Keegan has that confidence because he shared with us he's confident in himself, but actually opening his mouth and voicing that confidence to his teammates and making sure they continue to feed him, I imagine that's pretty challenging for anybody to do. Continuing on with talking about Keegan Murray, now this is Mike Brown. This is a combination of Mike talking about, one, what I was just talking about there, Keegan demanding the basketball more, and his teammates, actually, the responsibility on his teammates to continue to find him when he has the hot hand. And Mike also talks about Keegan's growth defensively. The theme with Keegan that we've heard over the last couple of days, too, is his teammates encouraging him to talk more. I just asked him about, like, when he's on and he's got the hot hand, do you see him being more comfortable turning to even guys like DeRozan, guys like De'Aaron, and saying, hey, feed me the ball, give me the ball, I'm feeling it?
Yeah, and he should. And, you know, I said this his first year, he was in a tougher situation than any other rookie because he was on a team that expected to win, be in the playoffs, had other veterans that had some time in the NBA, some success in the NBA around him, and now he's got to try to come fit in while still doing him. And it's kind of the same thing. I mean, you look around, you got some older guys now. Keon, he might be able to say, Keon, get the hell out the way. Give me the ball, but the other three guys, he's got to make sure he understands, okay, hey, I can be the guy, and if I'm rolling, I can voice my opinion. But in the same breath, those guys, the neat part about it, those guys, they have to, not just with Keegan, but they have to understand, okay, who's hot. And if somebody's hot, the way we play, which is conceptually and positionless basketball, they should be able, without anybody making a play call, find the hot guy within the framework of our offense. So it's not just on Keegan, it's on others too, and our guys are willing to do that, and that's what makes our team so special. Well, he's going to naturally get stronger just because of his age and all that. He's going to naturally have a better feel for the league as a whole, for the officials as a whole, and for the individual players as well. So he's got to keep getting stronger without bulking up, because I don't want him to turn into a power guy, But he's got to be able to step, slide, take the hit from somebody's back shoulder in terms of a guy like Kawhi or a guy like LeBron without folding, because that's what a lot of those guys do. They put that back shoulder into you, and when that happens, you fold. And so now by the time you recover and try to slide again, they buy you. So you got to be able to take that hit, stay strong, continue to step slide, and Keegan's heading that direction. Well, I mean, our performance and medical staff, we've done a fantastic job the 2 years that I've been here, not just trying to keep guys healthy, but also working with guys in the weight room, helping them get stronger and quicker, faster. So I'm excited to see Keegan take that step because there might be times when we tell him, okay, you're not guarding a bigger guy like Kawhi or LeBron, but you're guarding a smaller guy like Desmond Bain or somebody like that. You still got to be able to have quickness to chase him and all those other things.
I got plenty more for you still from head coach Mike Brown, plus some sound from Malik Monk and Keon Ellis coming for you in just a second after I tell you about more of our title sponsor for today's Locked On Kings podcast. I'm talking about Gametime. This is the app, this is the site that you need to go to get your tickets this year. Not just Kings tickets, but tickets to everything, whether it's a massive sporting event, a smaller sporting event, a concert of any size, a comedy show, a theatrical production, whatever it is. Gametime has the tickets for you, and they have the best prices that you're going to find anywhere else. They have this feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier than before. They filter out all the fluff and only show you incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have their unbelievable lowest price guarantee where you will be credited 110% of the difference if you find the same seats on a different site for cheaper. The closer it gets to the events, the better the prices will be on Gametime. They have incredible ticket coverage with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. They know stuff happens and sometimes things come up and they're not going to penalize you for that. Your seat views are incredible on Gametime. The prices are excellent. Nothing hidden, no hidden fees. You can toggle their all-in pricing feature so you know exactly what you're going to be paying when you select your seats. Gametime just does it right in every single area. So go to Gametime to get your tickets. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. Continuing on with more from Mike Brown, this is where we found out about the chippiness in practice. Physicality is a real emphasis for this Kings team, but it goes further than that. It's about playing physical like they were able to last season, but doing so without fouling.
I don't know if surprise is the right word because I knew they had it in them. I was surprised that it happened as quick as it did. It was almost like it was a switch and then boom, they just flipped the switch. And I thought it was going to take a little bit longer because those guys have it, and I've seen it in practice, in training camp, all for 2 years or a year and a half at that time. And so to have it happen that quickly during the year was a lot of fun. And we have to take that physicality and even try to increase it a notch without fouling, because one of the things that we did was we sent guys to the free throw line, and we lost a lot of close games because of it.
I think you mentioned during the offseason, too, the officiating towards the end of last season allowed for more of that physicality, which you guys leaned into. Fox mentioned you guys had officials in yesterday. I don't know if you had officials in today as well. Are they allowing that physicality, and do you feel this team can, if the ticky-tack calls come back a little bit, you can still play the way you want to?
Yes, we're trying to push the guys to be physical here, not only to help us defensively, but obviously to help us offensively and play through some things. And it got a little chippy today. Guys got hit, got knocked down, and there were some words exchanged, which is good. You expect that in training camp. And that's why when you finally play your first preseason game, especially your first regular season game, you're so excited because you're going to hit somebody else. And so I think our guys will be able to adjust. This is the third year we've been together. Luke, as a defensive coordinator, has done a fantastic job. Not a great job. He's done a fantastic job emphasizing how we got hurt last year, sending guys to the free throw line, and which caused us a handful of games that we probably should have won.
I'm still nervous, man. I'm still nervous about how games are going to be officiated early on in the season, and if we'll see some regression for the Sacramento Kings back to we can't play as physical as we want to because of how the whistle is being blown. But if the officials can be consistent throughout this season the same way they were to end last season, I like the Sacramento Kings' chances of once again being a solid average defense, right? I'm realistic. I'm not saying, oh, this Kings team's suddenly going to be top 10 defensively or anything. No, I don't expect that. Maybe it happens. And if it does happen, then that means Keegan, De'Aaron, and Keon especially are probably shining for this team. But if they can figure out how to play physical without getting into foul trouble and sending guys to the foul line, then this team should be good enough defensively with how good their offense is expected to be. They should be good enough to put themselves in a position to make some noise for a potential deep playoff run. Final thing from Mike Brown. Here he is talking about Malik Monk getting his paws on the practice plans.
Have you hid that practice plan from Malik so he doesn't get his hands on it again?
I tried, but we've had 3 practices, and he literally knows or calls out every drill before I do. So he knows exactly when we're supposed to end more than anything else. Forget the start, forget the stuff in between, even though he will call those drills out at time. But he'll let us know when practice is supposed to end.
Sounds like you got a mole.
What's that?
Sounds like you got a mole.
I may have a mole. If I don't have a mole, Malik's a hell of an informant. Yeah, he's a hell of an informant. He got his 2 sides set, so he want to get out of here.
Never change, Malik. Never change. How about we hear from Malik? And what I like about this clip is at first he's gonna have fun, kind of talking about how he talks and why he likes to talk the way that he talks, and having some fun with Mike Brown and stuff like that. But I want you to pay attention to kind of the second half of this clip and how Malik talks about finding his voice and how important that is to him here in Sacramento.
Probably just say everything that everybody else want to say, so I'll say it's just me. DeMar does it a little bit too. Obviously, he's a vet, been in it for a while, so he knows what's going on. But yeah, Mike might be bullshitting.
There's a lot of quiet leadership on this team. Is it kind of your job to keep things light and fun?
I'll say now, yeah. I wasn't looking at it like that the last 2 years, but especially now, since I came back and got a little bit more money. So yeah, I gotta voice my opinion and stuff now.
How long do you think it took you to find your NBA voice like this? Because this isn't who you could be.
Yeah, 6 years, man. When I got here, I found it. It took me 6 years. And that's another reason why I stayed. I just found myself, so yeah, thankful for it.
It's cool to get that, right? Because not everybody gets that opportunity.
A lot of people don't get it. A lot of people get out of here within 4 years after their rookie contract up, and never get the opportunity. And people wonder why they didn't get the opportunity, and it's because no team opened up and let them be themselves. So I'm thankful. Vivek got me, Wes got me, Monty got me, Mike got me here. So yeah, thankful for it.
Malik talks like he talks because that's who he is. And it's not because he's an arrogant person or a loud personality or think he's better than anybody or anything like that. Like, Malik's been through it, right? Now, he hasn't had the hardest of lives or anything like that, so we don't have to pretend it's that. Actually, I mean, I don't know about specifics of Malik off the court and any challenges that he's gone through there. But what I know from the public eye of his NBA career and the struggles he went through and almost being out of the league after his rough start in Charlotte, and then kind of his reemergence here, started with the Lakers a little bit, but then coming to Sacramento. And like he said there, he's allowed to be himself here. The Kings encourage him to be himself, not just with how he plays, but how he talks, how he interacts with people. And yeah, he butts heads with guys from time to time, especially Mike Brown. We've seen it play out before, but there's a basis of respect and a foundation of respect on all sides to where Malik knows that he can talk his talk to Mike and to the coaches because they got his back and they encourage him to do so. And everybody is united by this desire to ultimately win basketball games and be the best that they can be. So hearing Malik talk about that and talk about how he was able to find his voice here in Sacramento, how one of the major reasons why he returned here to Sacramento, he decided to stay here in Sac and take less money, is because he knew there were people here that were going to not only let him be himself, but encourage him to be himself. And that includes opening his mouth, stealing practice plans, and calling people out and holding people accountable and telling jokes, big smile on his face, right? That's just who Malik is. And I think that is very, very, very important for this team. All right, I have a couple more clips for you. These are both from Keon Ellis. The first one is Keon talking about the starting role. Apparently the coaches haven't really talked to him about it, but obviously he's playing in it right now.
No, I haven't honestly been talked about as far as any role. They just call my name with the starters, and I just go out there and kind of
play basketball. But what was your first part of the question again?
How comfortable are you with that group?
Okay, yeah, I'm very comfortable. I mean, because I know my job is simplified. I just go out there, play defense, and just be able to space the floor. So I definitely don't have to go out there and try to be a scorer, so I'm not the point of attack. I don't go out there and try to be the point of attack. Just kind of go out there knowing my job. If the ball swung to me, just be ready to shoot or make the right play. So definitely never going out there trying to do too much.
Finally, Keon got a lot of praise from De'Aaron Fox yesterday. I played that clip for you on yesterday's Locked On Kings podcast with De'Aaron talking about Keon's fit with the starters and how underrated of a shooter he is and how great of a defender he is. So I asked Keon about Fox's faith in him and what that means to him.
It's good just to obviously know that your star player has faith in you. I mean, that just makes you more comfortable out there. You have guys who can kind of get thrown out there and it's like, they don't want to make a mistake or whatever. So, if your guys have confidence in you, I think that you should have the utmost confidence in yourself because they believe in you. They're not second guessing when they're passing it to you, or they're not looking you off when you're open or whatever. So definitely it is a good feeling for sure. And I kind of treat it in the reverse way. Like I want to make sure I'm an elite shooter for the guys who are going to draw the most attention. So that way my guy can't help as much because I'm going to knock it down. So I just try to make his job, everyone's job easier by knocking down shots and being great at my job.
A week from tonight, we'll have our first glimpse, or we probably will get our first glimpse at Keon with this new Sacramento Kings starting five against the Golden State Warriors inside the Golden One Center, the first Kings preseason game. Hopefully we get to see the starters out there together for the first time for at least a small stint, because I want to see what it looks like. I want to see how Keon fits with this group, and maybe just watching that will put my feelings of still wanting to start Malik Monk to bed with just how well Keon might fit with that unit. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to hear your thoughts on everything you heard from training camp today, any of the notes that I shared with you. Have you any questions about training camp so far? Send them to me at MattGeorgeSack on Twitter. You can email me, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com. And of course, leave your thoughts here in the YouTube comment section down below. I appreciate your support. As always, can't wait to have you join me on the next episode of Locked On Kings. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.